washers and 2 dryers in a community of 500, and they've still provided you with washers and dryers, and it doesn't specify numbers.
Yes, but when that same person, that same businessman comes to another municipality, he was in town of Ulster, and then he comes to Kingston and buys more property.
But what law stops somebody in market rent from taking their cash and buying somebody else's
No, you're
business?
missing my point. My point is, if we inform other municipalities that this is going on, that this same person, there's a pattern with this person, we need to actually, there's an ethical thing here.
But if they don't have a code or a law that allows them to not issue an operating permit, it's market rate housing. It's like you telling me I can't buy somebody's house because I'm insured.
Well, but listen.
Yeah.
Okay, operating permits for the, through the Department of State are usually for your hazardous companies or industrial or public assemblies like your restaurants and stuff. I will look into the apartments. I don't think that there's anything there.
Yeah.
So wait, maybe I didn't give this, maybe I didn't take this from the right angle. So listen, if I were in a position and somebody came and they were big businessmen and they had a lot of money and they wanted to buy up a property, but I'm hearing about all of these other discrepancies in the town of Ulster already, as that person in position to deny them, or to discuss this with them, or to look at their background alone.
But in an apartment complex, the only person who has that is the person who's selling it. There isn't a regulation that says you have to have this, this, and this to run this business. If I won the lottery tomorrow, I could go in and buy that complex, whether I knew anything about it or
For
not.
some strange reason.
If I win the lotto tomorrow, I would.
But you know, it's weird, there was a, when I was on the common council, we reviewed people that were actually trying to buy property within the city. And we reviewed background, all kinds of information, asked them all kinds of
Do you
questions.
know what kind of properties it was, though? Like, was it affordable properties? Was it regulated properties?
It was both.
I don't want us to get lost in the weeds here, because I think we're at a point, we've certainly identified the problem at this point. So with the people that are gathered here today, what can we do to move forward from here? What can we do on the local level? We also have county legislators here. What can we do on the county level?
Have you guys addressed the legislature?
I have.
Yes, she did go to the meeting.
Okay, and what was the outcome?
Laura came, called me, oh gosh, Laura, 2
It was in
months,
September.
2 months ago?
Yeah, it was in September, the one that I went to, yeah.
No, but you had called me the week before on a Saturday afternoon.
That's right, you were cutting your grass.
Not well, and, yes. And Laura came to the meeting, she addressed the legislature, she basically read the same letter that you read tonight.
So,
I don't know really at that time, and I'm not speaking for Laura or Lynn, we were all there and heard what Laura had to say, but I don't know how we would go about drafting something for the entire county, okay, that would work for this situation. You have a landlord, and you know, everybody's talking, yes. In America, we've gone past that. Anybody can buy anything, okay? You don't want to go backwards on that issue, okay?
So we're gonna let our area be deteriorated by somebody that's like this?
Let me respond to that, okay? Because Mr. Horowitz came to see me and asked me for town support in expanding his project. We denied it.
There you
Okay,
go.
so that didn't happen in this town.
I like
I
that.
will tell you, there are other communities that just issued him permits to do other projects.
Yes, they did.
So
And that's my
you should be
point.
having these discussions with the leaders of those communities.
And that's my
Because
point.
we're already on it.
Exactly.
That's why I'm saying, how did all of the legislatures from each of the districts, both on the left side and the right side, how did they feel about what this lady had said? And you don't have to go, just,
No, well, I have, you know, Laura and I spoke before, so I knew exactly what she was going to be talking about, but I can't speak to how everybody, you know, there's some legislators that don't have an apartment complex in their district. If there's some in the southern part of the county, the city has a ton of them, New Paltz has a ton of them, you know, you go down, you know, the valley, There's a lot of them, but some don't have any.
So what's the point of that though? What difference does it make?
It may not be an issue.
It doesn't affect them?
It doesn't affect
So that means
some.
if somebody discriminates me
No.
in Kingston,
Yeah, no,
I'm just trying to, okay. No,
You asked me a
wait,
question, I'm
Laura,
answering.
calm down, we're just having a conversation. I'm not directing this at you. I'm not directing this at you. My point is, if we have an issue as a community, and I'm saying it again, Mr. Quigley has taken stances against these people. And I admire him for that. He's actually been the one voice that I've heard say, we're not doing that. No, we're denying this. So my whole point again is the same thing. Not to direct it to the legislators. I think we need to go lower. We need to start on a city level. And we need to pull city people together just to address it like we are here today. I admire you for coming, so that's not directed to you. It would be like me saying I live uptown and we don't have that problem up here. Well, what difference does that make? It's still affecting this community. And that's my point. And it's not directed to the legislators. It's directed to us possibly taking the next step. Like Laura said, where do we go from here? I think we need to have a meeting, not with just Town of Ulster's building inspector. We need all the inspectors that are represented here. Whether even anybody in this district that could, because this man is going to expand. As long as somebody like Mr. Quigley doesn't have the nerve to stand up and say, wait, initially we let you rock. We're not going to continue to let you
Roll.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, a couple of hands, Lauren Pettit first.
Yeah, thank you. I do agree, I've been on the advocacy end forever. And I think what you need to do is you've all gotten together and you've kind of grieved and, you've vented, but now you need to really organize. And you are correct, it should start at the local level. At the county level, we can put forward memorializing resolutions. They don't have a lot of clout, but I got a phone call from Laura. I didn't get a call from anybody at Lake Shoreville or Black Creek, which is unfortunate. I was there when they were doing a lot of work, and I noticed an awful lot of empty apartments. You need to either all write letters, so when you organize, have one person that's going to get together form letters, somebody that's going to carry around petition, because there's power in numbers, and you can bury these guys in paperwork. So much so that they're not going to want to come back to Ulster County. We will work on some local laws as well. I'll also get in touch with the building inspector or the fire inspector, which is Richard Valentine, to see, why there's no numbers on the doors and have they? Maybe they're just not telling you, maybe they haven't served with a violation. But there's things you can do, but now it's really time to organize. Anybody who's got a legal background, if you can look at the legal issues that are here and start putting together a memorandum, that would be absolutely great. Juanita has, she's going around, you're organizing for an actual litigation, and that would be great along with her litigation. If you get the signatures, you get the petition, if you get 2,000 signatures, Supervisor Quigley, if somebody hadn't contacted him, they would have known, and that could have just been one voice that did that. So imagine if you get 300, 400, 500 voices.
And if all of the neighbors sign the same thing, they can't evict everybody, because they're not going to get replaced.
And they're not going to see that petition until it actually goes into some sort of court. And by then,
And I like what you said, and that's all I was trying to say. I've known this guy, James, since I was, 16 years old? 14? Something like that.
It's been 40 years and we met here tonight.
Yeah, so-
We haven't seen each other.
He knows where I was going with this. If there's anybody can get some stuff done, it would be Mr. Maloney. But the thing is that if the legislature is aware of these issues that are coming, we can draft the laws. We drafted a human rights law. Never been done before until I moved back here to Kingston, and we've got stuff decided, and we got stuff done. But the thing is, it can be done. It takes a little time, but people have to be aware of this, and they have to be aware of the issues that are going on right now. Because I don't think it's right that if somebody whistleblows on the building inspector, oh, this is going on, and something gets fixed, and then they get evicted the next month. That is crazy. It's just crazy.
That's
It's
just one of the crazy.
unhumane. It really is.
Okay, so, I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Right.
Tanya. So you're talking Oh, hi.
So there's the two things that I wanted to touch upon. Talking to your elected officials of your town, I think Kingston is really catching up now what's going on, but I remember hearing from a couple of tenants back when E&M was before our planning board to build a new building. They're building a new building in front of Kingston Waterfront Apartments. They're building Kingston Waterfront Plaza. And they finished that process up in April with our planning board. And the planning board was bending over backwards to accommodate them, very excited about it, didn't worry about little details like there's no sidewalks in the back or different things. They were just like, this is great, we've got development coming, we've got to cater to them. At the same time, the E&M development was one of two applicants for a request for proposals that Kingston put out for a big empty lot that's in the middle of Midtown that used to be the King's Inn.
Oh my God.
If the tenants at that point had felt that they have the whole system. If there's articles from Long Island and Harlem that they've done these same things there, that they've got a system that works for them where they intimidate people and force them out. Yeah, and you're in a position where it's very hard to bring it to the elected officials, but now that elected officials know, they wouldn't, I don't know what the status was with that, if they were in the running or if they're in talks to develop the King's Inn. I know that they've got a 2 years, it's a special use permit to build the property in front of the building, in front of the existing apartments on the waterfront in downtown Kingston, the Kingston Waterfront Apartments. They've got 2 years before they have to build it. So 2 years until then, and they had a negative declaration of environmental impact. And so, yeah, so if people had known then how the tenants were doing at that point, it would have been maybe a different story.
And that's my point for bringing together local, on a city level, you know, before we even go to legislators, we have legislators here, you know what I mean? We have Town of Ulster supervisor here, but we need to, I'm saying, it's going in the direction of Kingston and other places, we need to actually pull goals on a local level together. Yeah, and what are they doing with Midtown, with, where, Kingston was?
I don't know what the update, we haven't had any updates.
Don't make me get Midtown on it.
Let's go talk to Steve.
Just 2 quick points. One was the meeting on January 8th is, in addition, we're going to be hearing more about what we can do as tenants, but also it's going to be discussed at the beginning of a tenants union. So having people who are, you can live in a building complex or you can live in market rate rent, but you will be part of the tenants union. Talking with the tenants union of Albany, tenants union of Mount Vernon, and learning what they did and bringing some people here to speak and to help us to come together. This way, we can't be divided. We can't say there are no apartment complexes in my district, you know, but are there renters, you know? So we together have more power than if we are going to be stratified into our different, what our socioeconomic means allow us to purchase. So that's the first note for the January 8th meeting at 7 p.m.
Where's that meeting?
At 7 p.m. We are still looking at a location.
Okay.
Depending on how many people we get, then we gotta switch.
The second point is we're not the only community that's going through this. So sometimes, you know, it might seem impossible, it might seem like a big deal drafting legislation. It may seem large, but other counties have done that. So, you know, I always, unfortunately, bite off words I can chew, but I'm willing to look into examples and see what has been done so that we can, again, follow what other places have done.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that when this did come up, I did touch base with both the mayor of Kingston and the county executive, and their initial response was that it's a very complicated issue because even though this group is, you know, doing horrendous and unjust and unfair things, we also have to abide by federal fair housing laws, right? When there's a buyer, so we can't be like, well, wait a minute, I want to know more about you. You know, because they can invoke federal fair. So what I'm saying is that this is a complex issue and we need to be very tactical and strategic how we go about it. Their initial response, both the mayor and the county executive, very informal conversation was, what's utterly important is that the local officials who are responsible for enforcing local codes and state codes are notified on a consistent basis, so they can keep going back and keep going back and keep going back and keep going back. So the cost of doing this kind of dirty business is too high to stay. Now, that's really tough. We're in a bind, right? Because every time you report, there's a danger that you can get kicked out. The other component to balance the need to consistently report is to make sure that you're in constant contact with one another, because statistically speaking, it is relevant when you go to court to say, look at all of these people who've made complaints. And across the board, every single one of them has been evicted, right? So there, it's not an ideal solution. It's terrible to have to go to court. It's uncertain. Judges probably, given the laws which favor disproportionately the landlords, they're probably going to benefit the landlords. But it's, and I think there are things we can do at the county level. I'm not sure what they are yet. I think we need to get together. This is a concern. I don't think this is okay. And I think many legislators, irrespective of whether they have an apartment complex in their area or not, are going to be upset about this because it's not right. So all I want to convey here is that the initial front line is consistently report, consistently stay in contact with one another so that you can keep this data about who's reporting and who's getting evicted. And I think we got to figure out at each level of government what is possible to do. We might not be able to do this at the county level, but there might be other things we can do, and we got to figure it out.
Alex, would the county of Ulster County, up here, all officials, would they be willing if we can get a meeting from 4 other counties, legislators and them together who are fighting EMN management right now, if we can get something like that together?
I can't speak for the entire legislature, but I can tell you that I'd be interested and I'll be there.
Okay.
And I think you'll find other people.
That would be great, if you could get 3 counties
I can
of representatives.
probably
that
get
would
2
be-
for you right now. That's supposed to be coming up. I'll try the 3rd one.
That's cool.
Alex?
So really quick, this thing that Juanita passed around, I encourage everyone to read it and get familiar with it. I know all the local stuff and all the door-by-door organizing is going to be really important. But also in June in 2019, next year, all the laws are going to expire. It's been a huge opportunity to rewrite universal rent control for the entire state, expanding tenants' rights.
Great point.
Maybe not opt-in.
Yeah, and we're going to have to opt, and after that, our community's going to have to opt into it.
Yes.
And what's going to happen, it's not happening yet, but real estate interests are going to spend tens of millions of dollars to lobby against this. They're going to tell homeowners and companies that the property taxes are going to go up and that New York's going to be a business unfriendly environment. So we need to get really familiar with this stuff. They already have it in Westchester. They just expanded it to Ossining. And pretty much everything that the real estate lobby said about what would happen has not happened. The property taxes have stayed the same. There's lots of case studies about it. So just get familiar with, while we do all this local stuff, let's get familiar with what's coming in the state, because there's going to be a lot of money thrown against it.
Yeah, we need to be, like I said, we said 2019, we can put a Band-Aid on it right now, but in 2019, if this expires, you're gonna get a knock on the door and tell you your rent just went up to $2,000 and you ain't do nothing about it. So we're just asking you to band together, because one voice with a megaphone is louder than just one voice. My kids only can hear me 3 blocks away. We gotta reach a little louder. Right.
So I'd like to sum up a little bit here and see, to give some specific tasks that we can go moving forward. First off, the residents that are here from Black Creek and Lakeshore Villas, I think one of the most important things that you can do is to try to talk to your neighbors and coax them to come out from the dark and come to the next meeting. We meet here usually the last Thursday, what's today, Monday? The last Monday of the month. This is our regular meeting time. You all are welcome at any time to come and join us. So if you can convince other people to come and to make complaints And that would be really helpful, because again, the more people we are, the stronger we are. If they have questions, let them know to make complaints if they're not getting their repairs done. Call your town supervisor, call your building inspector, make them aware of what's going on. Because if they're not aware, they don't know what to fix.
Right.
So that's a really important step that has to happen. I'd also like to see, and if anybody is willing to work on it, I really think it would be helpful to get those people to come out of the dark. If we could do, renting for dummies kind of thing, and just, take the fright out of the eviction process or soften it a little bit. But, people think you get an eviction notice, you're gonna have to be out as soon as they say what the date is on the notice. That's not true. I can tell you from experience, that is exactly what you think. That's what I thought last week when I got the notice. I was devastated. What am I gonna do? But I was fortunate to have a lot of people to call and get some great advice and to understand the process. So if we can simplify it, and also we know that we've seen fake eviction notices and fake, I guess they come down to eviction notices, that people can identify what is real and what is not. That will be helpful to them too, because then that should be brought to light. And a guide as to who to call, in the town of Esopus, who are the people to call, what's the numbers, in the city of Kingston, in the town of Ulster. Yes?
Eviction notices filed with the town of Ulster Court become public documents when they're filed. You have the right to walk into the Justice Court office and ask for a listing of any eviction notices related to Sunset Gardens, and they should give it to you.
So you can't file eviction until you do the 30 days, 60 days.
That's right.
No, that's correct. What I'm saying is that you're talking about fake notices.
Yes. Right.
Okay? My response to that is, there is a way to validate whether notices are proper or not, and that is to go to the town court to find out if the town court has served that.
So to identify that, and just what is the 30-day notice, and what does it mean that no, it hasn't gone to the court yet, that you have that time that you can then have your day.
But that was my point to you, Laura, when you came to my office. Did it go to the court yet?
It did not. So, that'll happen after December 31.
And people don't understand that. Sometimes
exactly.
they just panic and leave.
That's exactly my point. And they may not have to leave. And to let them know if they're on a month to month, that whatever complaint, and here's the other thing to stress, whatever complaint you make, document it, write it down, because they're evicting me for retaliation. I have all the written proof. I'm pretty confident I'm gonna win that argument. But you have to document everything and have it to show, because as a month-to-month, that's your only defense as a month-to-month tenant. So at least you do have a defense.
You can also bring other tenants who are getting evicted for the same reasons to trial.
Right.
You would go to
Right.
trial as your witness.
Great.
Exactly. Rebecca?
So how long has this group been organizing around, that's living at Sunset Gardens? That's what this meeting is, correct?
Yeah, John, our first one was July, right?
6 months?
Yeah, July.
July.
And so if the public is afraid to come out and do, I don't know if the other properties have groups like this organized or not.
They don't.
So the question is it possible, since you're getting organized here, to expand maybe what the board is, if you had someone from each of the complexes sitting on this? I mean, maybe it's the start.
Well, that's what, anybody is welcome to our monthly meetings.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, but let me just finish the thought, because one of the things that would be great is to find a way, if each of the housing complexes are represented, you have Town of Esopus, City of Kingston, Town of Ulster, suddenly you have the power of numbers sitting in the room, which will bring more citizens out, where our elected officials can be a foil for us to even bring more voices out, because that's really what gives, I think, the public confidence to speak, is when their elected officials are willing to stand out in front of the issue. And maybe this is a good start in helping people to organize and build confidence to go back into their complexes to do their own thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as organizing the other complexes, my wife and I are the ones that put the signs out.
At
We-
Sunset Garden.
At Sunset Gardens, we went to Black Creek. We couldn't get into Black Creek because the doors are locked.
I think you're gonna have to mail notices to everybody.
Well, we don't have addresses, and it's very difficult,
I
very
think
expensive
it's
also.
all you need is one
But
person.
we went to Lake Shore.
Exactly, if we had one person in each complex.
When we went to Lake Shore, okay, we ran into Rich, and we weren't gonna fight with him. So we put it in my wife put it in the laundry room. And we had to leave, we had to boogie. But what I see, the way I see it is, Rich is the enforcer, he's the intimidator. Now, he's not gonna intimidate me or my wife, but I'm not looking for that confrontation. Okay? I deal with it every day in Sunset Gardens with them.
Well, what
I
kind
don't-
of intimidation makes you, is it something where you can press harassment charges?
But he's been there many
It's,
times.
well,
and stuff.
I'll give you an
I asked
example.
them that already.
2 weeks ago, I became a grandfather for the first time. So I was upstate.
Awesome job.
Thank you. I was upstate, with my grandson. I came back, my wife and I came back, and I get into the building, and who walks up on me but Isaac? Okay. Hello, Isaac. Now, I'm friendly with them. Hi, what's up? I want to talk to you. Looks at my wife, he says, I don't want to talk to you, I want to talk to John. Okay. So we go outside and we're talking. And first thing he asked me is, why did I call the fire department? I says, fire department? What are you talking about? Well, somebody called the fire department for the smell, because they were refacing just the fixtures in the kitchen, the brickwork. I said, yeah, I know that, I could smell it. I said, but I wouldn't call them. Upon that note, Rich pulls up in his truck. He comes out of his truck, starts screaming and cursing at me. You called the fire department. I said, no, I did not. Well, this is you. And he pulls out he gets his partner to pull his phone out. And I am a reviewer with Google. I do reviews on everything I go to. Well, I happened to start reviewing Sunset Gardens when we moved in, and we had issues with Morgan. So my review, he reads it, hands it over to Isaac, and Isaac reads it, and he says, well, you gotta take it down. And I said, I'm not taking it down. I didn't put it up there, I'm not taking it down. These are what I said. Well, because if you go on Google, you can look at my review all you want, but they were very upset with it, to the point where he was in my face, and I had to step back. But this is what he tries to do. He tries to intimidate. He tries to force you to do what he wants. He's not going to force me. He's not going to force my wife.
But that tactic will work with a lot of people.
Yes, it will work with a lot of people.
Why don't
When we had our first meeting here,
complaints against him?
when we had our first meeting here, I got approached by Isaac before the meeting, because he called the number, because my number was on the paperwork. And he says, I don't like tenants associations. I says, it's not a tenant association. I says, this is a meeting of the minds. I want to put management and tenants on the same page. So, because everybody's coming to me, asking what's going on, because they closed the office, there was nobody to talk to, they couldn't reach maintenance, so they're coming to me or they're coming to Laura. And I said, listen, Isaac, I says, come to the meeting. This way you can explain what's going on. Isaac came into the meeting with 4 or 5 of his people.
Rich and Shane, yeah.
No, Jesse was here too.
Oh.
Isaac sat there, Jesse, Shane, and this is where they were. Around everybody. Now, if that's not an intimidation tactic, nothing is.
But you can't file a complaint because somebody yelling isn't.
Yeah, you can't complain about that.
It's not gonna come doing it, I mean, you can call, but they're gonna come and they're gonna say, you know, it's not illegal. If someone touches you, it's different.
Yeah.
But, you know, for a
Yeah,
70-year-old
to
lady,
holler at you,
she's
words
not
mean
gonna
nothing.
tolerate that.
Words mean nothing.
Unless it's a threat.
Yeah, well, even threats.
Sounds like they're smart enough to know how to do
Yeah.
it.
Stephanie?
Yeah, we had a situation where we were questioning why the pool hours were so inconsistent, because
Yeah.
we had just got out of work and we wanted to go swimming, because the last time it was gonna be open before they closed it. And we were excited to go, first time we're gonna get to use it, because the pool hours are so inconsistent. We go, and I don't know what his name was, I think it's, I'm not remembering what his name was, but he was an older gentleman. And we see him around the complex all the time working on things. And we're getting ready to swim. He's like, you have 5 minutes. We're like, the pool closes at 7. Why do we only have 5 minutes? It's going to be 6. And he says, well, I'm tired and I want to go home. I'm like, okay.
Unless he was a
Well, they had no lifeguard, that's
Our
what it was.
complexes have not licensed
Yeah, and
lifeguards.
he wasn't a licensed lifeguard at
No.
all. And then, so we're going to the corner putting our stuff. And so, you know, we never got to go swimming because it was so inconsistent. By the time we got off work, no one was there. And so I questioned him, well, the sign says 7. And, you know, it should be the sign. He's like, I'm tired, my back hurts, I got hurt. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but that's not my problem. Is there anyone else that you can call from the complex to come sit here for at least another hour? 40 minutes at tops. He's like, no. Well, he called somebody to bring the keys to lock the pool. So I'm trying to have a conversation with him and talking like this. I don't like being confrontational. And his granddaughter comes and brings him the keys. And he starts screaming at me, which he gets a little bit defensive. It's my boyfriend, Joe. And at the time I was pregnant. And he's getting in my face and screaming at me. So of course he's going to get defensive and stands in between us. The granddaughter comes rushing at me, and he steps in front and she slaps him.
That you could have filed charges for.
We actually called the police. We called the police, and the police came. He was riled up. He was in the police's face. They almost had to arrest him. The granddaughter had run away before the police came because she knew she was going to be in trouble. So we tried filing assault. They said it's not assault because he wasn't physically injured. But then the next day, he had a blood vessel pop in his eye on the same side of his cheek where he was slapped. And it just didn't need to get to that point. So now I feel afraid anytime I see him around the complex. I'm like, or I'll look out the window, and if he's driving by on the go-kart, I won't go out yet. And I shouldn't have to live like that. But the thing is we called the police, and still nothing has happened because the granddaughter, they can't find her, and nothing's happened. So even with that, even with filing that
Why did
kind
you
of
have the
thing.
keys to this place where you don't?
Yeah, she had access to the keys to some
How's
part
that
of the
okay?
station. She was probably in her mid-teens, early 20s. Yeah.
So, I know we have, you're the realtor, correct? You're the one that shows all the apartments? Yeah? Okay, all I just wanna say is, I'm just watching out because she's been recording everything here and she goes back to Isaac. So just in case anybody gets any notes on their doors, we'll know why, and that will be harassment.
So what's your
I'm just
name?
reporting that.
What's your name, Miss
Okay,
Realtor?
you can smile all you want, but I am
I'm
calling
actually
you
here for
out.
the tenants because they're my client and I want to make sure you guys are taken care of.
Well, what's your
No,
name?
because
So
that's why you lied to
I'm
the
here.
tenant that just moved in to the apartment. You didn't even tell them that apartment, I said, did you tell them that apartment had bed bugs? You didn't even tell them that apartment was full of bed bugs or has mold. So you don't care about your tenant.
Wait, excuse me, Miss Realtor?
Yes, definitely.
Miss Realtor?
I didn't come to get attacked.
No, I'm not
here to-
attacking you. No, I'm not
I want to hear your
Espérate,
side.
espérate.
I only see the other side.
Wait,
Okay.
listen, wait, don't, come on, you guys, because I want to, let's be fair, because she stood here, and if she's recording, it's her right.
Well, and she also has a job to do, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So,
but whatever. What's your name, please? I just want to, Stephanie? And you're hot, you work for E&M Management?
I do not work for E&M Management and I do not work for Sunset Gardens. I am a realtor for Winmarson Real Estate.
Okay.
And they are my client. I am here because I represent the tenants and the landlords, and I have paperwork for all my new clients that says so, and I want to make sure if there's anything more that I can do, I want to play that part. So it's not the same.
So wait, espérate, I'm still talking.
That's all I have to say. This is my first time here.
Okay.
I obviously deal with them on the other side, but I want to hear.
Okay, and that's fair, that's very, very fair. And just, and I don't mean to take over
Thank you
your
for the
meeting.
introduction.
No, you're most welcome.
And I'm not, again, I'm not targeting you, but bed bugs is a very serious thing. If there is an issue like that, can I just have your respect for, you know, for this community? If you're a realtor and you're renting, would you at least inform people if there was an issue? Because that one issue could actually become a bigger issue.
So if it's something that's been treated in the past.
No, wait, I'm sorry, you make me talk back with you. Wait, 1 second, I want to finish my question, and we can leave, or you can leave, or you can have your meeting back. But bed bugs is a very serious issue. I don't care where it is. So my question to you is, in all fairness to everyone, if that was an issue, would you be polite enough to inform people? Because that can actually be an issue that goes from that one apartment to other places, and that's all I wanted to ask you. Thank you so much. Would you inform people or try to take care of the problem?
I don't have access to any records that are, I may have access, but my job is leasing. I am going above and beyond now to become more a part of this, so I will look into things. Yes,
So if
of
someone
course,
makes a
but
comment, whether it was out of anger or not, because I can actually keep a level head.
If I'm not aware of something, which I'm not in this case, and I'm learning here now, then.
Okay.
Right, and
Well,
I can
please,
help you, because you can't convey something to another person coming in that's based on hearsay.
Well, wait a second, no. I'm asking her, and your comment, I appreciate it.
Right, but she
But I'm-
couldn't
I have
tell them
lost
that,
too,
as
too,
if she
but
doesn't
I-
work for them, she doesn't have access to their maintenance records.
Okay.
So if somebody else tells her.
Thank you
there's
again
supposed to be
for
a-
responding.
Whoa, because what you can simply do is call Kathy
And that's all I'm
in
saying.
Sunset Gardens and say, I'm placing people there, what are the issues?
Is there?
I'm here now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just realizing that this is, I'm
So,
here now.
so my question to you,
You know, again, I don't work for them. I'm here on my own time.
so my question to you then is, how you've been placing, to be clear, you work for Win Morrison and you've been renting apartments to people within, is it just Sunset Garden or other of their properties?
Only Sunset Gardens.
So you do work for Win Morrison? Okay,
So,
I'll have my card, I'll give it to you.
thank you.
so after you've been here listening, what is your opinion of work, because you work for them, of working for them then at this point? Would you continue to place people in Sunset Gardens?
I'd like to do what I can to rectify any situations. If there's any help I can provide, I'd like to be that liaison. I'd like to mediate the situation, essentially. Can I give you answers right now? You know, I'm in the middle here. That's the best I can say.
And she might be
can I-
able to leverage, right, her middle position in positive ways, right? I don't know what your relationship is with the owner of this property. You might get a cut from them, or do you get a cut from the person you place? In other words, how are you getting paid?
Not a conversation for right
Yeah,
now.
no.
I don't know if
That's fair enough.
really.
But
Okay.
that would be important to know,
Sure.
to figure out where your loyalties lie. Because if the payment's coming from him, right, and the cut's coming from him, that's gonna present you in a different light than if
Not
the cut is coming from the
necessarily.
the leasee.
I see your point, but
That
I
would be-
represent both no matter who's paying me. Legally, I represent both. I have a New York State disclosure that says I represent both. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm trying to learn more.
There's
That's why I'm
there's the law, and then there's the practicality of how the law plays out.
Have
The
you
practicality of how the law plays out.
But I have ethics I have to follow as well.
Okay,
So I'm just trying to
have you let
understand what's
Win
going on.
Morrison know what's going on in this facility? He's been in business since 1972, I think it was. Does
Yeah, sure.
Win Morrison know that this kind of conduct is going on at Sunset Gardens that you're looking for?
A lot of this is new
Does he know
information
that?
to me, so I don't know if he knows.
Will you let him know?
Yeah,
I
I'm
will
gonna
talk
have,
to him tomorrow morning, and I will also.
yeah, that's fine.
Fantastic.
And please investigate the bed bugs problem, because that might have been shouted to you in anger or because she was upset. But at other meetings, I've heard about bed bugs, and I've been in official meetings where officials have said, well, it hasn't been reported to me. Just on somebody saying that that's a possibility, what would it hurt to investigate that? Because it can become, from one complex, it could actually become a community issue, and I've seen it.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, and that's my whole point.
And if it's one
about that.
apartment, it will travel from apartment to
You should have, Nina, if I may, if you had to rephrase the question a little bit, were you aware of bed bugs in the apartment when you rented it? That probably would have been a better answer, then she would have said no, because I don't think she was aware of it.
Yeah. So, I would like to make a comment though, just so everyone knows, I grew up in Kingston. I am not from the city or any of that, although I did live down there for a while and I moved back here. So, I mean, my grandmother knew Marston. I am happy to do anything I can and leverage that if there's any way we can. I just want to make sure everyone understands that. That, again, is why I'm here. I'm a part of this community. I have a reputation in this community. I have a license to uphold. I have a daughter growing up in this community. So it's, you know, again, that's why I'm here.
Do they issue yearly annual leases, or do they start with month to month? Do they start with annual leases?
I'm doing 1 year, second year.
And I hope you realize the position that a lot of these tenants are in and the risk that they've taken in speaking out. I mean, I've spoken out, I'm paying the price for it.
And I'm gonna pay the price for it next month.
So I really hope that you appreciate the residents that were here and what it took for them to speak out and put themselves at risk.
Because I just want to say, because you can follow ethics and also represent this guy who may not necessarily be violating laws, and it still may not be the right thing. And so that's what we're trying to measure here, is what's your role. And if it really is the role of a fair player, then you are welcome, and we would love to leverage your insight, right? If it's here to, you know, to follow the profit imperative, right, then that puts it in a different light. So I don't mean to, you know, to challenge you in any way, but I think the point that Laura raised is really, really important. People, the quality of their lives are at stake, and so they have to be very, very careful. And so I apologize if you were challenged in any way without founding or foundation, but you can understand why people are jumpy.
Right.
And why they want to assess whether you're a fair player or not.
And I think we just all ask that you don't share any of the tenants here's names with them. You know, as simple as that.
That's all on film. Well, it's public. He's gonna find out anyway.
Well, just to make people aware, I've been out here all night. I walked outside earlier, and they were sitting right over there. And when they saw me, they took off.
Wow.
I don't know who it was, I didn't see the car. All I see was the back lights taken off. But they know we had the meeting.
And they're well aware of the meeting, so.
So they could be here looking to see who's going in or out, for that matter.
Yeah.
You were wrapping this up?
Yeah,
and
so.
we were talking about pulling things together.
Alex, I'm wondering if your organization would help us perhaps organize this guide or fact sheet for renters. Would that be something your organization might be willing to do? And we'll find some people to help. I'm willing to help start it off and give you, my ideas. I think we have some research, but I believe anybody here that's an elected official, we could say, and Rocco Secreto is also from Town of Ulster Town Board. He did not get recognized. You snuck right in. So thank you for being here. So I would think that anybody that's here we could use to question. Am I correct that any of you, Nina, Mr. Quigley, Kathy,
I'd like
Jim?
to pull other officials, other inspectors,
I
other
would
people
also think
together.
each municipality,
Yes.
while they can't provide you with tenants' names, I think that they could provide mailing addresses so that you could send things to each tenant, so that you aren't having to post them in public places or get to areas that you can't. Addresses are public record.
I don't think we
The
would
problem
do that,
with
to be
libraries
honest.
is we do not have a mail carrier, so everyone has to have a PO box down there, so that might start getting a little.
What about getting
I
the
will put
inspectors
flyers
together
on
from
the
other
phone.
municipalities?
I think getting the inspectors together is a really good idea. But we have these people as resources now, to question and to create this guide. And I also know Juan Figueroa on the eviction process too, because I've talked with him about it. He would be happy, I'm sure he'll be happy to help us
Quick
outline that.
suggestion, I know we all signed in, but if you had gotten email addresses, you could have made a Google email blast and gotten.
Well, we will now, that's why we have,
We have an email.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, emails on there,
I'm gonna
okay.
make a database and we'll
Okay,
have
very
it.
good.
yeah.
We'll be sending out emails for the next meeting.
Great meeting.
So I really want to thank, Stephanie, did you have anything you?
I was just saying, this Thanksgiving, one of Joe's coworkers came to our household and he's actually a resident of the waterfront property.
Uh-huh.
And he says that they had all similar issues.
Yeah, they do, I've heard that.
So we don't have anybody from that property, if you could cultivate that and get them to come out, and I'll set our next meeting right away, it'll be the last Monday in January, just have to make sure the senior center is available. Really, anybody from these other properties, you're welcome here to our meetings.
So we're skipping December because of all the holidays?
Oh, I think we have to.
Yeah, because one's Christmas Eve, the other's New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Please make sure we have your email. So thank you, everyone.